Hi there, Scott from Wessex Blades. Welcome back to part 2 of the in-depth Cubitron 2 belt review, kindly donated by BND Abrasives. As I said last time, I'm going to be giving it a 60 grit finish on each of the blanks, and then I've already set the bevel up. I'm going to be using the 36 grit belts of the corresponding, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start beveling those blades using the 36 grit belts from each different company. But this is just to give it a far more attractive appearance. It's going to get a little bit of scratch with the work that's going on, but I'd rather not take it to a mirror finish at this stage. So it's just going to give it a nice satin finish. So let's find the first one. This one, which I've got to remember is the zirconia one. So there we go. Okay, I'm going to start the main grind. It's going to come up to about there, and there's going to be basically like a secondary edge on it. So that's going to be done at a later stage on a finer grit belt. There's a lot of work, quite a bit to remove. So what I'll do is I'm going to speed the thing up, but I'm going to do a diligent count of how long it takes by working out how fast the speed needs to fit into a certain time afterwards. And it gives a gauge on how well and how fast this is removing material. So here we go. Now one stage I'm going to show you a little trick on is to use the belt without coming down onto a hard 90 degree. It's called knocking off the 90s. So what you do is you do this stage, okay, and that prevents the belt smashing into a hard 90 degree edge. So it's called knocking off the 90s. Right, so what that does is it's knocked off that hard 90 degree edge on most of the length of the blade. So without doing it like that and smashing the edges of the grit for no real good reason and losing a lot of performance, it's literally glancing off the back of the blade like that way and skimming it on an angle like this as opposed to abruptly like that. It gives better life to your brand new belts. So I'm going to start on that and do the time as 56 and 50 odd seconds, so that's going to be 57, and I'll time it. That's alright. To 23, 26 minutes. it was taxing as well, because the only decent bit of belt is I've got about 15mm there and about 10mm there. There's nothing really in the middle, so I'm getting grit, just bites, not much, and then grit that bites. So not the easiest thing in the world to do a neat bevel, and obviously to get the tip square, get the tip even as well, not the easiest thing in the world. So what I'm going to do now is tidy that up using Cubitron 60, but yeah, well over 20 minutes to do that, because if you push too hard it gets too hot, and you're dunking at every pass. It's not taking much off, and the belt is losing all of its grit on the edges. It's like peeling off. It's like paint on a crap car. So your corners there, it's hard to get that even, because you want a nice consistent edge to your belt, so that you get that nice swooping shoulder to your plunge line. And yeah, I mean, I've been using these for years, and they're economic, and I can get round them. But if you were a newbie to these things, they're a bit of a trial. See you in a bit. Next one. As I'm finishing up, one thing that's I don't know whether it's characteristic of these blue belts, but they bow, which means that I'm going to pick that up. You can hear the belt hitting the back. It comes out like 2mm in the middle, which means as you approach the thing, as you approach the belt, you're actually hitting the belt there, but that is against the platen. So you're hitting the belt, that's touching the belt, but that's against the platen. And so you end up with this bowed effect, which you just got to appreciate it as you're going in. I'm sure the Cubitron is flatter when I'll have a look in a minute, see if it does it as well. So, using the gator belt, tries that. Now it gives me that finish. Okay, other side. Okay, just on 21 that was, and now it's 38, so that's 17 minutes. For the green ceramic. One minute and one. focus. Really quick. I had obviously the section in the middle that was slightly more used, caused me a bit of an issue, but if it was a new belt, it's just really weird. That hurts. That's still got sharp edges, but that removes material faster. That's just weird. Look, my hand. How does that work? Anyway, I just have to think up another test. I'm going to finish off that blade and then put on to a more tortuous test for the Cubitron 2. Very tortuous. It will be for me as well, physically. But that's what I do. Put things through the mill. Okay. Yeah. So, what I've done is I had the old surface grinder over there, which I use because a lot of my blades are wider than a 50mm belt. So whilst I was waiting for the review belts to arrive, I cracked on with that for a couple of days. So they were all done on that not perfectly flat grinder with a 60 grit, sorry, 36 grit. So I've used the Cubitron, the already used 60 grit, to put a finer finish on that one. And in 33 minutes I've done that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. So they're taking about 2 to 3 minutes each side. And just to prove it, I've got one more to go, which is this one. So that's got a 36 grit finish, hobby sander. So, about 4 minutes at a time. Four and a half. There's a bit of a slightly fat area there. We're also on the hobby sander. I might have missed or hit a bit of slack though. So I can now use my carbide plan, which is really flat, in order to get the whole blank. Four or 5 minutes, right? Magical. Three 8 minutes. Right, welcome back. So I've got a fresh new 36 Cubitron tube, and I'm going to keep going, beveling the correct bevels for these. They're at varying angles, but seeing as the last lot was a certain model of mine, I'm going to carry on with the same model because that's set for now. There's 4, and after that I got a few other different ones, so in total I've got 8 blanks. See how long it takes to do 8 blanks, or how long the belt lasts, one or the other. Here we go. So the day 2 belt, which is this one here, as opposed to day 1 belt, so I've made sure to keep them separate. The day 2 belt has ground all of these blanks, and also finished them off with lower grades. Even had a play on there, just done a little bit more. These are really thick, these are 5.3mm with a very high bevel. If you were doing little 4mm woody clones, bushcraft knives with a little Scandi knife that you're taking off something like 15 to 14 degrees per side, you're not taking anywhere near as much steel off as that. So instead of, you're looking at 8 blanks here for that much wear, and there's still a fair amount of life in it. I mean, we're looking at, if that's 8, you're looking at 15 little bushcrafters that you could use on the same belt, I'd say, quite happily. So pretty impressive. I didn't have any issues with heating, because the pattern I would do is, once that's in the jig, I grind one side, I grind the second side, and when I balanced it by going back to front, okay, I've done it, then that big brutal belt comes off, and then it's turning on and off to change the belts, so it keeps the temperature down. That's the way I do it anyway. In terms of fatigue and white finger, I haven't experienced any of it. The main thing is when I use the blue belts, I know that I've got to be careful I don't burn an edge because of the heat that it goes. So you're actually looking with the water that you're taking off when you've dumped it, you're looking as it's boiling away, so that's 100 degrees, but you don't want to get it any hotter than that. So I felt like I had a lot of leeway with this belt running cooler. Don't think it's an elixir, you know, a cure-all. I dare say if you were grinding to a 0 grind and you were using this and you pushed hard, you would still burn the edge. It's not like you might see on an advert where it's put a huge great beast ingot of steel into there and it hasn't burnt because that was a big amount of steel that's you know, coping with the heat. If you're going to a really narrow belt, just go slowly and it'll take it. For me, the best thing was I didn't feel the splice. There it is. I wasn't conscious of it as the grain is slowly wearing down. What does become apparent on other belts is you'll get that shudder as the thing comes round, and eventually what will happen is as you're turning, the edge will catch the belt as it comes through, and then you get a let rip. I've had one on a Trizac literally just now, where as it's getting to the edge, and all of a sudden you've got a scallop belt. So interesting getting a piece of belt fly off, but you know, eventually you'll catch an edge. But I didn't even feel the splice as it was coming round on that 36 Trizac, 36 Cubitron 2. So pretty successful endurance test. Grinding it, getting it balanced, neat and tidy, changing the belt. Yeah, good day's work, technically speaking, I'd say. So what I want to do now is do one more test, and I'm going to use a variety of different materials. So we'll try brass, obviously that's brass pins. I'll use some different handle materials, so a couple of different types of wood, and a micarta is another thing. Or if you push micarta too hard on some belts, maybe too fine a grit, you'll burn the canvas. So if you had a sort of a fawn coloured, tan coloured micarta and you push too hard, the canvas within it would start burning a little. It wouldn't look very good. I think it'd be good to use different materials that crop up from a knife maker's arsenal of, you know, you got to use handle material, we got to use metal pins to put the handles on. So that's what I'm going to do for the third and final test. Thanks for joining me again. Thanks again to BND for sending these for a trial. And so far they've made a difference, because I said I wouldn't do that many in a batch. My grinder is a tank. It's a slow. There are faster speed grinders out there. However, my motor's more of a plotter, and you know, I'm not really winding the thing up very fast. As fast as my inverter can go is as fast as that motor runs my thing with the drive pulley. So anybody who's got a faster setup, or geared it or pulleyed up, I think you're going to be absolutely flying with a Cubitron 2. So even on my chunky plod of a grinder that's, you know, big, solid, you know, it doesn't my thing is so heavy because this is 40mm square steel. This isn't tube. So my one was I think you'd say mine doesn't vibrate. You know, it doesn't get into a sort of judder of motor and harmonics and stuff. It's just, well, it's technically indestructible. It's bomb-proof, this thing. So even though it's a plotter, I've got a hell of a lot of work out. So it's made a difference to my targets and what I think I can achieve with abrasive belts. So we'll try again in the next test. I got a bit of a craft fair tomorrow, so Saturday is going to be committed to that. But as soon as I can, I'll upload the next installment, and I'll be using different materials. So I'll wrap that up, and I'll catch you on the next vid. Scott Wessex Blades with the Cubitron 2 trials.